The purpose of this presentation is to show the general process that D6 Consultores and MexBuy must complete in order to set up and operate the commercial intermediation solution for foreign sellers interested in Amazon MX FBA. Although an RFC ID is required in order for Amazon to activate the MX tab of the North American Integrated Seller Central account, sellers must be made aware that an RFC ID alone is not enough to import and sell products in Mexico. A legally compliant import and sales solution for Amazon FBA in Mexico requires at least the following: an initial assessment of the products, in order to know before shipping the applicable tariffs and non-tariff barriers that are required at import. This is crucial for the seller as the cost of sale in Mexico of the products cannot be determined without this initial assessment. Also, the import complexity depends on the non-tariff barriers that would be required at import. If proper labeling or certifications are overlooked, the goods could be seized by customs at the point of entry. An importer of record that can complete the actual import into Mexico on the seller's behalf, in addition to a valid RFC ID. And an importer of record that is willing and has the capability of issuing electronic invoices for the sales made in Amazon, pay the applicable VAT to the Mexican government, and provide accounting services to manage inventory and tax declaration in Mexico. In order to provide these services, our commercial intermediation solution involves at least 5 of our 6 business units: D6 Consultores, our trading company MexBuy, logistics, and customs brokerage. There is a 2-step process in the initial legal consulting service that we provide to sellers. First, the initial assessment that includes general legal advice on doing business in Mexico in order to help the seller choose the best import option according to their business plan and determine if preferential tariffs can be applied based on the country of origin of the products. Tariff classification of the products according to the MX HTS code. Analysis of the applicable non-tariff barriers in order to determine the import complexity of the products and assist the seller to guarantee proper compliance. Step 2 involves the following services: drafting, revision, and execution of the sales of goods and trading services agreement with MexBuy. Support services in order to set up the Seller Central account with their trading company's tax and banking information. The translation and design of commercial information labeling. Testing and certification of products in Mexico. Application to obtain and follow-up of import permits, inspections, or authorizations with the applicable Mexican agencies. Pricing analysis based on known import costs is also required. This exercise is not optional. It is needed in order to determine the sales price between the seller and MexBuy in order to avoid the declaration of undervalued goods before customs. This tool also provides the seller with a cost of sale in Mexico of their products, which will enable them to know their net profits and adjust their retail pricing accordingly, as well as the approximate amounts that would be required as upfront payment of duties and services in order to clear customs. Net profits determined by this exercise allow sellers to add this profit to their invoice to MexBuy and avoid payment of income tax in Mexico for the sales, as the amount of the invoice will be deducted as an expense by MexBuy, sending the income generated by the sale back to the seller's country. The idea is that MexBuy pays income tax only on the service fees charged, not on the seller's profit. Once the initial consulting work is completed, D6 Consultores and the seller contact MexBuy's operations team in order to plan and coordinate the shipment. The seller chooses the logistics provider and goods are sent directly to the applicable port of entry in Mexico, where D6 Customs Brokers Division receives the goods, inspects quantities and NTB compliance, creates the import entry, and provides the final amount to be paid that is required to clear customs. Once MexBuy receives a deposit from the sellers, D6 pays the entry document and files for customs clearance. After clearance, D6 will hand over the shipment to the logistics providers for final delivery in Amazon's FCs in Mexico. Once a sale is made in Amazon, the buyer in Mexico will pay Amazon. Amazon will pay MexBuy, and MexBuy will issue an electronic invoice to the buyer in Mexico or include the sales operation in the monthly global invoice issued to the general public. Here is an example of an invoice issued to the buyer after a sale in Amazon. It is important to note that because MexBuy is the importer of record, all sales in Amazon are considered first-hand sales, so every invoice will mention the entry document on the description as required by the applicable tax regulations. This invoice will be used by the MX buyer not only to claim a deduction for income tax purposes, but also to prove the legal import and purchase of an imported product according to the Mexican customs law. MexBuy will pay the Mexican government the applicable VAT generated by the sale, pay the foreign seller the invoice unit price, and reimburse the seller the import costs paid up front using the proceeds of the sale. As part of the accounting and management service, MexBuy will issue a monthly report to sellers showing the results of the sales operation and the amount that is available for payment after deposits from Amazon are received in MexBuy's account and all taxes are paid to the Mexican government. It is important to note that in order to achieve proper legal compliance in all import and sales operation by third-party sellers in Amazon, service providers must be able to assist sellers with a complete import and sales solution. Service providers that do not complete an initial assessment of the products, verify non-compliance, issue invoices, or pay VAT in Mexico for each sale made, offer a partial solution that is not legally compliant and must be avoided. To start, goods can be held or seized by customs, and illegal practices can also lead to contraband and tax evasion. We have also noticed that some sellers have opted to use simplified import regimes available to FedEx, UPS, and DHL by sending small shipments under $1,000. These imports reach the FC and sales are being made, but this is also an illegal practice as these simplified import regimes are not intended for resale in Mexico. Goods can be held by couriers if they suspect that the import is made for resale. Tax evasion can also be an issue as these sellers are normally paid directly to their foreign bank accounts and no invoices in Mexico are issued or VAT is paid. Non-compliance is also a problem, as simplified import regimes generally do not require non-compliance due to the nature of the operation, but Profeco may impose fines or seize products if they detect that these products are sold to the general public without proper non-compliance. Proper legal compliance is crucial in order for the successful long-term operation of any business venture. Overlooking legal requirements can become a huge problem when Mexican authorities perform audits. Although Mexican regulations are complex, it is our commitment at D6 to assist Amazon and forest sellers to make trade easy with a complete solution that will always adapt and comply with the ever-changing customs, tax, and sales regulations that we hope can soon be simplified by the Mexican government. Please feel free to contact me in case you have any questions or comments about this presentation.